But alerting thousands of people to what may or may not have happened 30 minutes ago or 30 blocks away is in fact dangerous. And so one has to ask, what is the true purpose of this bill? Why do the Democrats want to use the power of government to bombard your cell phone with active shooter alerts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? It's because they want you to be afraid of the Second Amendment. It's because they want you to be afraid of responsible gun ownership. And they hope that if they program you and bombard you long enough, that you'll hate your own Second Amendment rights, or that you may tattle on your neighbor.
So that's Matt Gaetz, who is freaking out about the fact that the House was considering something called the Active Shooter Alert Act of 2022. It is expected to still pass. What it would do and why he hates it is that it will create a communications network to allow the public to be informed during an emergency involving an active shooter. So it wouldn't automatically do that. They have this GAO thing that would have to happen. But in effect, if there was an active mass murder going on nearby, they would let you know about it in the same way that the emergency system can let you know about other things that are happening. Wildfires, natural disasters, Amber Alerts, and things like that. The issue with that is that you would then get a message when there's a mass shooting. And when you intersect that with the fact that there are mass shootings constantly in America, it might result in a lot of messages. Now, if you like to pretend that gun violence isn't a problem and you certainly don't want anything to be done about it, it would be incredibly inconvenient if people were constantly being reminded of how often someone takes a gun and starts trying to kill as many people around them as they can. Thus, Matt Gaetz freaking out about that. Now, this isn't the only, I think, fairly reasonable thing that the Republicans have been opposed to recently. We're gonna get into some of the other votes that have happened. But Anna, what do you make of Matt Gaetz trying to make sure that people stay in the dark about how much gun violence is actually going on around them?
Well, I mean, it's very on brand for the Republican Party, which has fought aggressively to gut our public education system, which has done absolutely nothing. In fact, has stood in the way of doing something about the fact that higher education has become increasingly unattainable for students in this country, meaning that one opportunity that used to be available to people of all different socioeconomic statuses are now primarily reserved for people who come from wealth. They love to keep people in the dark because an ignorant electorate is an easy electorate to manipulate. And they want to be able to manipulate you. And he's right about what he's saying there. Understand, he's right. He knows about the prevalence of gun violence in this country. He knows how destructive loosening our already lax gun laws really is. He knows about how terrified Americans would be if they were just a little more informed about how close to home that gun violence really is. So he's terrified about information getting to the electorate, because that might mean that it would be an empowered electorate who would demand change, something that people like Matt Gaetz and other lawmakers like him don't want to engage in. The system's working out real well for people like Matt Gaetz, okay? He's getting his closed door briefings on what's happening in the country, what's happening in the world. He gets to trade individual stocks on that insider information. He gets more and more wealthy by the day through the elected office he sits in. I mean, he wants to keep you in the dark, okay? And it's not just about Democrats, it's about his own voters. He's terrified 100%. That he would have an informed base that would demand more of him. And that's what this is really about.
Exactly. Yeah. We're in favor of people knowing what's going on. If they don't want to be in that group, they can do that. We'll see how popular it is. 80%, by the way, of House Republicans ended up voting against that system. Also, 88 Republicans voted against setting up VA benefits for toxin-exposed veterans. Some did support it, to their credit, but support the troops unless they've been affected by environmental or industrial toxins, in which case, screw them. 3.5 million veterans were exposed to toxic burn pits since September 11th. This is actually one of the things that Jon Stewart has done advocacy around. He greeted this news with just a tweet that says, "Excellent." What's not excellent is having 88 House Republicans who believe, damn them. We don't care what happens to them. They can just go and die. The House also passed an amendment to monitor white supremacists in the military and law enforcement. Not a single Republican voted for that. Not exactly shocking.
Of course not. Those are the people they rely on. Of course they're not going to vote in favor of that.
Yeah,
that's their base.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.